Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Motivation Monday, May 13th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is no stranger to the screen, and I'm super excited to have him here in the Dollhouse for our exclusive sit-down interview. He is one of the most watched, highly anticipated stars of the most critically acclaimed show there is, and that is Talks with Myself. And you might know him as the evil, the deceptive, the conniving Jabril Davenport on a certain platform called Triangle. So without further ado, Fashion Dolls, let's welcome our handsome, extremely talented special guest. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome him to the Dollhouse, Fashion Dolls, Kenyon L. O'Brien. And let me see if I can invite him. And hopefully it works. Hopefully it works, because sometimes IG likes to try me sometime. All right, there we are. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Dollhouse. It is such an honor to have you here.
How are you?
I am doing wonderful. We finally meet face to face.
Right. I was like, what wig she gonna give me?
Yes, today is a little bit of storm. I want to go for Intergalactic Goddess, and I know you guys are paying attention to the eyes, those gem details. I wanted to do something different. So before we get into this interview, how has 2024 been for you? Because you are at the height. You are having a hot year. The show is about to be in season 6. Before we get into all of that, how has 2024 been for you so far?
2024 has been breezing by. You know, it's been going like you blink, it's already summer. But it's going pretty good. A lot of changes professionally for the clocking job. So yeah, it's been going slow, but it's going fast, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, good. 2024 is good. My last year in my 30s. So yeah, we want to see how that works.
And you're a Capricorn, so your birthday's in January. My brother K Toops put me up on game.
Love Capricorn. Everybody loves to hate Capricorn.
Yeah, and your character. We'll get into your character too, Jabril Davenport. But before we get into that, Talks with Myself. You are on fire right now on this show. I've watched seasons 1 through 2 through 3, and this is a little bit different than Jabril Davenport. But before we get into Talks with Myself, tell us a little bit about Kenyon, besides being Morris and Jabril. Who is Kenyon L. O'Brien?
Well, I'm kind of like a enigma wrapped in a Rubik's Cube sometimes. I always I'm a social person because I'm a introvert at heart. But by profession, I do have to be an extrovert. So that kind of that conundrum works out. I usually say to myself a lot. I think everybody kind of knows me but don't know me, and I kind of like it that way. I'm an only child. I was born in New York, raised in Delaware, and now I live in Pennsylvania. What else? I've been acting for maybe 15 years now. It kind of came by happenstance. Yeah, and outside of that, I'm a bartender, I'm a model. I work in, I don't know if I'm going to say profession, but we're going to say customer service can sum it up for the moment. Yeah, kind of live a low-key life most times. I would like to most times.
Now, you've been acting for a very long time.
Yes.
Now, at what age did you say I wanted to get into acting and being on the screen?
I didn't ever say I wanted to get into it. And actually, so a friend of mine, Jared used to work with Roger on Finding Me, Truth in the movies. So he, we were just friends outside of that. And one time we were out on vacation. He was like, I'm gonna write a part for you. And I was like, all right, whatever, we'll see. And so the funny thing is, you just had Eugene on last week. So
yes.
my character initially was only supposed to come on as like a one-time thing, and I was supposed to be a date of Greg's character. It was only supposed to be like a one theme episode type of thing. I was just supposed to be a date of Greg's, and around that time, Fabian's main love interest, he couldn't do the show, so Roger was kind of like in a pickle to figure out what he was going to do for a new love interest. And just so happened that I was going to be that role, and he was like, "No, I'm going to shift you into this role," and that's kind of how it happened. And it's been it started out with Talks to Myself, and then it went over to Triangle, and then all in between, I've been doing both. Yeah.
Because that's always been my question that I wanted to ask you. How were you able to do both shows? Like you're Jabril on Triangle, and then you are Morris on Finding Me,
right,
and Talks with Myself. So how were you able to find that balance with both?
Well, a lot of times it was kind of, we were doing simultaneous filmings most times, but a lot of times we weren't. So it was also a thing where there were essentially two different characters, but kind of the same a little bit. So it was different because the Triangle thing, you know, we have like hundreds of episodes. So we were like constantly filming throughout the year. With Myself and Finding Me, it's like kind of like seasonal we were filming. And then also before we were just doing Finding Me, and kind of like a gap in between when Roger started doing the series. And so that helped too, because while there was a gap in filming when Roger was figuring out Finding Me was kind of ending, then going into Talks to Myself, the chapters. And so that kind of helped too as well. And then right now with Triangle on hiatus, it's easier that I can just film Talks to Myself. But
now, when I seen you on this platform, I'm like, this is you in a completely different element where you're more vulnerable. And your character, Morris, was married. Fabian found out, and we talked about it when we did our interview last week. But this character is completely different from Jabril Davenport. To see you in a light where it's more vulnerable, when you're talking about love and relationships and experiences. Now, I want to get into something with you. The bathtub episode, because I talked about it with Roger. How did your character, how did that happen, that scene where you're like, I don't want to take no goddamn bath? That was genius. And I talked to my friend Kim Tooks about it on the phone today, and I had him cracking up. I said, that was funny. So how did that scene come to be?
Roger, of course, because if it was up to me, you know, I wouldn't be doing it. But I was just like, what? You know, but Morris's reaction to it was Kenyon's reaction to it. And I was like, what? Why am I doing this? What is this? And you can see it on my face in the tub, because and usually everybody mentions it. Like, what was going on? What were we doing? I was just like, it was for the cause. I'm going to do it for the culture, okay?
There were so many funny moments on Talks with Myself. And in the scene with you and Noel in the park, he had something happened, and then you brought a piece of tissue out to give him that reminder. So it's genius, your comedy timing on this show as well, too, but it also dives into love, relationships. Now, season 6 is coming back. I'm super excited. But you guys can catch up on the previous seasons on openmeprotv.com. Make sure you guys go and check that out. So what can people expect from your character, Morris, this upcoming season? I know you can't dive into a whole lot.
Well, it's going to be really him dealing with the aftermath of what happened in the last 2 episodes in the season finale, where if everybody watched the show, it finally comes to light that, you know, Morris was sexually assaulted and it was filmed. So he's going to be pretty much dealing with the aftermath of that, trying to kind of get through it. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very like emotional time, especially now that they are married. So it's going to be like, how do I get this with now I'm married? And also with Curtis's character, that's something that he's going to have to deal with, knowing that even though he knew it happened, but now it's going to be fresh for Morris to deal with it now that everybody essentially is going to know. Like, how do you deal with something like that? And it's also from the personal aspect and also like the legal implications. You make it revenge and retaliation. So it's a lot of layers that Roger's going to have to like basically go through with that, you know. And I feel like Roger's creativity is going to be able to really dive into it. So I'm really interested to see how.
What was it like filming that scene? Because I know it can be difficult tackling those types of things in real life. Like your character woke up, all you remember was waking up on the park bench. You're just like, how did I get here? In that particular scene. What was it like filming that scene?
Oh, it was. I mean, of course, it's different with filming it because you could stop and start. But I did. I was just like, because at first I didn't think that we were ever going to actually film the assault. I thought it was just going to be like happen, that's it, and we would just like kind of like play it out throughout the season. But then Roger was like, no, we're going to have to do it just to have some context. And I was like, okay, I just have to deal with this. So while we were in the scene, I was just like, come on, just get it done. Just like, let's go. Like, let me just pretend like I'm just playing here and not worried about it. And to Kenyon and Daryl, they were both like, you okay with it? How do you want to? And like, it was approached with caution, which is good. Fortunately, I have never been in that situation, but I do know people that have been in that situation, so you do have to like tackle that type of thing sensitively with kid gloves. Because it's really so rampant in our community that it has happened and it still continues to happen. So, yes.
And it's the sad part about it is it's not talked about, but I'm glad that Roger shined a light on that because that happens in the queer community and people just sweep it up under the rug. They think, oh, well, there's two men, they can handle it, they can defend themselves. It's just like, no, this person was in a very vulnerable state and they're afraid to talk about it. So it's triggering for a lot of people. So what has been some of the responses from that particular episode? Have you gotten messages? Because you are the main star of this show. You are on fire, and I'm honored to be interviewing. I interviewed your co-star on Triangle years ago, David, and I said, I have to get Kenyon and Christina. Now, we'll talk about Chrissy and what she said when I told her that I interviewed David in this interview. But, yes, what have been some of the responses from people on that particular episode?
I mean, a lot of people, you could tell people relate to it without saying that they relate to it. But a lot of people do say like, wow, thanks like for actually being able to portray that in a not so graphic manner, but an artistic manner. Because like I said, it has to be something that you tackle sensitively when people have gone through that and still want to do it. So a lot of people like applaud that, like, okay, you were able to do that in such a way that didn't come off cheap, but also like, okay, this is yeah. So there was a lot of good feedback. Not any negative.
Amazing, because for you to take on this role and then the impact afterwards with people saying thank you for talking on this. Now, speaking of assault, it is one scene of Triangle where you pull out a pew-pew on Christina Porter. And I think it's because your evil twin, Chadwick, we're going to get into all things Triangle right now. Now, I interviewed your co-star, David, years ago, and I said my heart is beating fast. And I was telling my brother K-Tubes today, I said I'm so nervous with this interview with Kenyon. What if he's anything like Jabril? And he tried to get me like he did Chrissy.
Oh, Lord.
But the chemistry between you two on screen, it is literally like you two are brother and sister. Fallon and Jabril, the way you two go back and forth, the dialect on screen. Now, that scene where you pulled that gun on her, and then the scene where y'all's father, Baron, passed away. I looked at your face when that camera panned over to you. And Chrissy, the mom, Tessa, she was reading the will, or one of the girls, no, Chrissy was reading the will, and what Baron left to everybody. Raven was sitting there, Tessa was there, and then y'all's aunt was there in that scene, in the boardroom, Brandon too. And she said, I leave Tessa nothing, and then Christina just bursted out cackling, and I paid attention to your face, and I'm like, he's going to crack at any moment. And I'm pretty sure. What was it like? Because I know Chrissy, and I've seen her behind the scenes, goofing and joking around. So what was it like filming that scene with her?
I mean, every scene is a scene with her. For like for me, well, me and outside of Triangle, me and Christina, Kenyon and Christina are brother and sister outside. Like I've known Christina for like 20 years, way before filming Triangle. So we have a relationship way past that. So we're able to feed off each other. And I call her Chrissy Snow, Christmas Snow. So any scene with her, like I said, is a scene because she fully taps in at all moments, like from go. She's the character, and she's so evil and conniving, like the character Fallon. So you also have to like give it some grace to her. Like I gotta let her rock in this scene because she's always on. But for those scenes, any scene where she was in there with Tessa, it was always like fireworks. Her and Deborah was always fireworks. So yes, any scene with them.
It was so funny because when that camera panned over to your face, I said, I know he's going to crack, because I cracked when she started laughing as well, too. But there have been some other episodes as well, too. You found out that you have a son, Eve. You have a son by Eve. And your son is now staying with you and Brandon. Also, you find out that Mason is connected to you guys as well, too. And he's a Davenport. So it's just like all of these plot twists, from the evil twist with y'all's twin, Chadwick, also with you and the scene with you and David, who I've had the pleasure of having on the show as well, where he has you captive in the hotel room and she says, Easton, you're in Easton. So it's just like he had you brainwashed into believing anything that he was saying in that particular scene. And that happens too. So, of course, Jabril came back strong. So for you, when you go into this character, because watching you play Jabril, like you said about Chrissy, the Davenport family is a family in Easton you do not want to mess with. And I instantly thought of Dynasty.
Yes.
And all of the other shows where it's like a mafia, black mafia family. What I love about what Caesar did is that he allowed inclusion. You see Kiko, and when I see Kiko, I feel included myself as a trans black woman. To know that there's somebody out here who's like me on this show. To know that there's so many different facets within the queer community. And that's what I love. So Caesar, his writing range, ballroom throwbacks. This is amazing. I've been watching Triangle since it first came out, when Brandon found out that Derek was messing around with Jabril. So, I mean, yes, I am a day one fan. I have been watching. So, channeling Jabril, what is it like getting into this character? Because he's so calculated, he's so evil. And, of course, watching you and Fallon's got to have the last scene. She's got to have the last say and everything. So what is it like channeling Jabril Davenport?
Jabril was just fun to play because he was wishy-washy most times. And you could tell, like, I think at the core all the time, it was always love for Brandon. Whatever happened in the beginning with the cheating and the triangle, and it's always funny, like, it's called triangle, but it ends up being like a hexagon, octagon, everything, whatever shape that could be, a shape with a whole bunch of sides, that's what triangle turned out to be. And it always brought it back to the 4-3, which I always found fascinating. And funny thing you say, Dynasty was part of it, because Carlos Harris was the writer of Triangle, and his favorite soap operas and TV shows was always Dynasty. And so when him and Caesar teamed up, it started out with just the three, but then kind of like branched off to where now we want to see black glamour, black power, black society, to where that's where the Davenports came in. And that's when you started integrating the other side of the family to where, okay, now it's more to. So for me, I felt like playing Jabril was always an ever evolving character, even with his lifestyle or the way he came about. He first came, it was like he didn't have any money. He didn't have any money, so Brandon was taking care of him. So everybody just thought, oh, he's a bum. He's living off of Brandon. Lo and behold, no, he really just gave up his money because he wanted to live his life. And that was, you could tell, like, in the beginning, Jabril was humbled by that, but then it kind of like broke him. So he was like, okay, I got to go back because a man don't want me, so now I need to go on these.
And we've seen the wedding episode. We've seen you guys get married on the show, you and Brandon, and it was a beautiful wedding. And something happened. There was this time, Kiko said something. She was like, I think it was your brother on the show, Corey,
Uh-huh.
said something, and she kind of like, Brandon gave her that look, and she just pointed her finger. So it was funny. Kiko brings the comedy on the show, and I've seen you guys' exchange with each other on the show as well. So even when Brandon had the salon, you popped up in the salon occasionally as well, too, and watched Fallon and Kiko's exchange as well. So it's amazing. You guys have a camaraderie outside of the show. Because I'm just like, it's rivalry, and then they go back to loving each other. And I've seen behind the scenes clips of all of you guys together, and it's just awesome that you turn it on and you turn it off. Because the Davenport family, any secrets, you guys will go to the end and back will try to bury that. I am a diehard of the show. And when season 6, all the episodes started coming out, we've seen pregnancies, we've seen so many different things come out in this episode. But to see Jabril as a father, to see you in a different light on this show versus being calculated. Of course, Jabril is still going to be doing his thing, but you now have your son, and your son is just like, okay, I want to do it for myself as well too. And you tell him like, okay, you need to slow down and work on this. So what is it like for your character having a son on the show? Because you find out that Eve had a son, Jabril Jr., and you guys are raising this son by yourself, and he's moved in with you and Brandon. So what is it like having a son on the show?
Well, I mean, again, it gives a different dynamic, a different layer to Jabril, because now he has a different person to protect that he protects like Brandon, you know. And it also has a thing to where now you have to show more patience because this is a child now, and the teenager going into an adult. So you got that, and then you got to deal with the dynamics of the mother, which Eve is not wrapped too tight. So we just got to deal with that, and yeah, the dynamic between the child and then Brandon, like, he has a different type of good and bad cop. Like, I can go to Brandon and get things done, and then no, I can't. Jabril is just like, no, I'm not doing it. So it just gives a different layer of depth to Jabril, to where now, okay, it's just not about me and Brandon. Now I have to take into consideration to now this child. So I can't be out here just being evil to everyone, because now I have another piece to the puzzle that people can use to take revenge on. Like, do whatever to, now it's my child, not protect it. So now it's like, okay, now I gotta tread carefully about how and when to do things to other people if it doesn't, which for Jabril is always gonna come up.
Now, what's crazy is you and Fallon both have children on the show. So it's crazy watching her be a mom. She's got her son and she's got her daughter, Raven. And then you have Jabril Jr. So to see you guys in a different light, but still, you're going to be doing things behind the scenes. And the Davenports do not believe in calling the police. And I remember it was Kiko or somebody that said something about, oh, we're going to call the cops. And you're just like, no cops. The Davenports don't believe in that. They will try to go to the end of the world of that, to bury those secrets. It's a lot of scandal. It's a lot that comes out with this particular family. If it's not that family, it's the DeLuca family, which you guys are kind of like rivalry with. So, yeah. And then we find out that, what's his name? Emery's character on the show is a DeLuca. So that happens in real time. So it's like all of these plot twists. So Triangle is so dynamic. People are watching it and they are diehard fans of it, like myself. And I'm seeing in the comments, they're saying, when is Triangle coming back? When is Triangle coming back? I've watched every episode, binge watched every episode. It's my guilty pleasure. That is my dynasty. So whenever I'm looking for scandal or something that has a plot twist, I turn on Triangle.
Yeah, it's like a black gay soap opera. So yeah.
And yes, so your character, and Winston comes back. We see Winston and Clint team up in this season right here as well too. And then Fallon finds out, she walks in and she finds them together, and she comes back and she tells you, and she's like, you wouldn't believe what I saw. And then I think she went back and told Mason about it as well too. So there's a lot of twists and turns for this season. So what can you predict for your character, Jabril Davenport?
Well, it was announced that we are going to be coming back soon, probably before this year. Even just if it's not going to be, even just wrap it up. But I would hope he finds some peace with him, Brandon, Jabril Jr. I mean, that's my hope. But I'm sure it's going to be some gaming and whatever it is to maintain power as you go about living your happy life. Which that's the ideal thing I hope you do. But you know, got to be in the mix of it. Even if you're trying to do happy, which going to obviously back to the mess and please ties it all.
It's a lot of it's you guys always try to tie up loose ends. The Davenport family will go and try to tie up loose ends. It will do by anything. If anybody gets in the way or is a distraction or is an outlier, they will take care of that problem. And I've seen Fallon say, let me make a call, let me do this, and she'd be right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are always on it, the Davenport family. Scandal. Okay, now make the parallel. Morris and Jabril Davenport. What is the parallel between the two?
I think at the end, both of them are in love. They just are damaged at going about getting it. They're damaged at the core. They're damaged, but they want love underneath of it. But I don't think they know how to go about doing it because both of them have so much backing. Morris staying in the closet until he was like 30, living up DL life, and essentially coming out now in his late 30s, early 30s, late 30s, to where like you're going to have a bunch of trial and errors dealing with coming into because like most of us came out, you know, teenagers, early 20s, you have all those phases where you make all these big mistakes and you can get rid of them or you can go move past them. But as an adult, grown adult, life now, mid 30s, you can't be making those type of mistakes as an adult, you know, because some things you can't come back from. And as far as Jabril, with the whole thing being so not so much physically abused, but emotionally abused and manipulated, and so much stuff going on with the family. Him coming to his life, he doesn't know how to show love. Always, how they show love was kind of like a deceiving type of thing, or controlling, or manipulation. That's how they show love. So both of them, at their core, I think one love, but both are damaged so much they don't know how to go about giving or. So I think that's the.
So yes, the Davenport has their way of showing love as well too. Like you said, it's always a plot twist. You never know what to expect. And they'll be like, okay, I got you. I was not expecting the scene when you pulled that pew pew on Chrissy and she just kind of got down just like, Jabril, I can't believe you're doing this to me. So what's it like filming that scene? Because the tables have turned. It's always Fallon that has to have the last say-so and word. You're just like, I don't care. When she was just backing down, she kept backing down and she got down on the floor. So what was it like filming that scene with Chrissy?
To tell you the truth, we film so much. Sometimes you just reminded me that even happened because it'd be so much that we filmed. But for me, well, for us, like we filmed it was serious, but us when we were filming it, we were like laughing. But because I think he just got to a point that he was fed up. Because I believe like the scene was like, this is you, like you can punch out for me. That whole thing was kind of like built up in it. And it's like, well, how could you do this? But then the thing to where Jabril turned around the same thing with the twins. So it was kind of like, okay, now I'm going to get you back. So yeah, I mean that scene was, I think it was just like a build up of Jabril kind of, because before it was always, he would snap on Fallon, but it was always, I still want to protect him. It was never like a to where I'm just totally done with her. So in that it was just, okay, you're half to death. And see how this.
And you have it. Fashion Dolls. Any more triangle questions? Because let me read some of you guys' questions in here. OMG, Benny Sheen says, Kenyon, your skin is skinning. And Winfred says, I love you, Ken. Emanuela says, Kenyon, you are so cute.
Thank you.
I'm reading you guys' comments. All right, Fashion Dolls, do we have any more triangle questions for Kenyon? And my favorite Davenport from Triangle, that is from David Mason 1.
My dog, he wants attention.
Paul says he is always on fire with his roles. But Talks with Myself, everybody is talking about it because I love it. The cast, the ensemble cast. I'm going to have another one of your cast members going to be coming on next month, and that is Deb going to be joining me. So I've been interviewing some of the men with Talks with Myself. What I love about it is that you guys have a camaraderie. You have a brotherhood, and me and Deb were talking about it earlier. And I was saying the same thing, and I was talking with Derek. You guys have behind the scenes, everybody has their relationship or is doing particular scenes with everybody. But what I love is that you guys each have a brotherhood with each other. And we see it show up in the photo shoots together. We see it behind the scenes in the bloopers, because Roger gives us somewhat a sneak peek of what we can see behind the scenes as well, too. So this ensemble cast of all Black men who are in the community, they come from different walks of life. What is it like being a part of this all ensemble cast?
I mean, I feel really good about it because, of course, we started out with just like first episode Talks to Myself was a really small cast, with about 4 or 5 of us. So and it kind of like a testament to like my scheduling or like the poor people that started. A lot of times schedules couldn't do the filming. It was just so creativity. Like, well, I have to, just to keep going where we had other things going on and kind of connect to each other. That's what kind of happened, and it kind of brought people. We had to trickle people from here, like, to make the cast grow and make it make sense, and also have the characters have their own universe within the episodes or within the season, within the show itself, to where it makes sense still. So with that, and it keeps adding people, and they becoming in more dynamic and their or how he crafts their life into the story, and still kind of brings it full circle back to Morris, is pretty genius most times. And I love to see his creativity kind of put that in with. We just did our season 6 promo shoot. That was the same day that Derek. He was actually in between shooting, like, so shoot. So yeah, everybody was there, and it was like, okay, yeah, we have like a not like a cover, like us picture that Roger's probably going to drop soon. And you can really see like the array of people, and I'm interested to like have some new characters I want to kind of blend in cast. So yeah, I'm excited about season 6. And
I know it's gonna
be already, so he's ready.
Roger is just amazing, his writing ability, and I said that in the interview that I did with Eugene. Eugene just came in here. Hey, Eugene. And I was telling him that when Roger writes, he writes a personal experience. And almost anybody who watches the platform, everybody can relate to a character in some sort of way. It's like he already knows. And even with the series, Finding Me, everything, he was ahead of his time because he touched on such heavy subjects like mental health, coming out, having a parent that doesn't accept. I mean, all of these things, balancing multiple parts. He was ahead of his time. So, and then at the time, Noah's Ark was coming out, just stepping on the scene. Fast forward years later, you've got Triangle, and we see that with more inclusion as well too. And then we see Talks with Myself, which is an amazing, amazing show, and everybody is talking about it. Now, Eugene is also the creative director on that show. So what was it like being able to reunite with Eugene and do an episode with him? And you guys were reminiscing the scene where you were sitting down in the cafe together, and you were both talking about Fabian, because Fabian and Lonnie from the series, they went to the UK. I think they went to London together. You guys were just reminiscing and talking, and this comes after a group therapy session. So what was it like reuniting with Eugene's character on the show?
Well, that was fun because I can't remember. I don't think we were. I can't remember right now if I ever with him in a scene prior to that, because it's been so long ago. Where when Morris and you maybe actually together, I really don't think they had a scene together, so that might have been our first time. Outside of that, we've always been around each other with like doing the show itself. So it was actually fun. We were just cracking up the whole thing. Like if you like some of the bloopers that we have from that thing was really fun. We were making fun of Rob the whole time. And yeah, so working with Gene is fun, and he also brings a different type of creative eye to the time. Always him, like they're on a team up, and against me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to wear that, I don't want to do this. So Roger's always like ping ponging off like how to figure out ways for me to wear certain things in a scene or do something like that. So those two kind of team up gets me sometimes, and I have to give him. Gene is fun. Even he actually came to the shoot too with us, and also I'm sure probably pretty much we're probably kind of for the new promo, which I think all from the picture all night. I'm I was actually
you guys always come out with the most beautiful photos, and I've seen the promo photo when Roger put it out, and I've seen you in it. He was speaking of the devil. Ladies and gentlemen, the man is here, Roger. So his creative division, like he says, okay, I want to do this for this promo. Like, how do you guys come up with what goes on behind the scenes and what you like to focus on as far as the character, the look, and the aesthetic? And do you have an input into what you want your character to look like as well too?
But that's also one of my favorite things about Roger. He also asks for input from the cast, and he's like, well, how do you want to do this? He's not like one of those, this is it, this is what I'm doing. And a lot of times, of course, we give like too much feedback or not enough feedback, so it kind of frustrates me sometimes. Or I give more pushback probably than others, but it doesn't it right? So as far as like when he comes up with concepts, he kind of just lets us know, like he gives like a mood board, he'll send it out. Like, well, this is the concept, like this is what you guys bring, and then as we're get as we go. But a lot of times, like his vision is more like artistic, and also the like he likes that. You see it throughout the series as well. So type of proportion with that in the series, which is really good, and it also makes people feel, because although it's a current show, it's also kind of like our age, to where they want like, oh, remember that, oh, nostalgic for me, which is good. So,
now, the first film came out in 2009. I had to give Eugene the date. She was like, how long ago was that? How do you know this? From 2009, 2010, and then 2012, 2013 was the series. And then fast forward years later, we see the spinoff of Finding Me, Talks with Myself, which is based off of Morris. So coming from out of a marriage, Morris is discovering himself, finding love, acceptance, where do I fit in, where do I belong, and dating, balancing different relationships and things. So I love the spinoff. I love it. So I asked Eugene, would he be willing to bring his character back for Finding Me if there was, sort of a reboot. We are now in a day and age of reboots. Would you be open to your character Morris coming back and having a scene with Fabian?
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be amazing. I mean, I guess it would be interesting to see, what happened. And what was it? I forgot his name. Lonnie. Yes, Fabian and Lonnie, to see what happened. The scenes already still together, they're not still together. It would show probably a lot of growth in Morris's character, because like, oh, he's out, he's not, DL, he's married, and all things. That interaction or touch base would be, because I want to see what happened with Lonnie and Fabian, of course, with me and Greg. So, yeah.
And it will be good to see, because I told Eugene it was great to see the cast reunite in 2020, because at the time we were in the midst of a pandemic. And I think you guys were filming Triangle at the time. I'm like, how are they getting these episodes out? We were satisfied in quarantine watching episodes of Triangle. And I'm just like, how are they filming these episodes? So how did you guys manage to do the episodes of Triangle? And we had everything going on. Everything was closed down. Production was shut down.
Well, for that, it was, I mean, there was a stall point because, you wanted to get past the hump, the main, quarantine, like, oh, we don't want to be around people. But a lot of us, when we filmed certain ones, it was not always a cross-pollination, I guess, I don't know, cross-contamination, to where it was so many people filming at the same time. It was also like, oh, we're not going to film for X amount of time, maybe like 2 weeks. Or these people, have you been in the house, or have you been quarantined, that type of thing. So it was a lot of precaution going in. Also, we had PPE on set, making sure that we also had tests on set, which was also good, because around that time they were doing for people, because people for production given out, and so you could take those while right there on the spot to see, okay, you need to take this, you need to quarantine. So we're doing a lot of precautionary steps just to get the episodes out. So yeah, that's how we do it.
And we were satisfied because we were inside and we just like, what are we going to do? So I binge watched Triangle, and what else was I binge watching? Of course, my Housewives of Atlanta. Those are my two guilty pleasures. So I was satisfied. I was content. Then Roger gave us Talks with Myself, and I started watching, and I'm just like, okay, I've seen him. When I seen you as the main character, I said, I remember this. This is Jabril Davenport, but to see you in a different light is what shook me. It's just like, wow, because Jabril and the Davenport family is calculated. They are going to get you. They are going to retaliate. It is not going to be over. There's always going to be a plot twist. But to see you as Morris in a more vulnerable life, or shall I say how the children are saying nowadays on social media, soft boy era, where he's like, okay, where he's discovering himself, he's discovering love, he's discovering, okay, what do I want to do? Because you've dated so many guys on the show. You dated Derek's character on the show. You dated Dev's character on the show. And now your character is married. And I seen the photo where you guys are showing the rings and everything. So I'm just like, you've come a long way in different phases of this character on the show. So for the 6th season coming to, that is in production right now, I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see what Roger has in store for us. I know there's going to be so much deception, and like you said, with your character making sense of everything that has happened to him, waking up on the park bench where it's just like, how did I get here? So I can't wait for that, because there's got to be some justice. Like, this can't go away. And then the therapy scene where you're just like, what do I really, really want? That happens a lot in the queer community, where it's just like, we're discovering who we are. We're discovering what we want as far as a relationship, or who we want to be with. That happens. There's so many options because everybody's attractive, everybody's good looking, but it's like, what do you have to offer? So I'm glad that your character and Noel's character, Tim, on the show, you guys decided to go to group therapy. You're just like, I don't want to go to therapy, and then he drags you along to therapy, and guess who you see there? You see Greg. So it was good to see you two reunite on screen and just reminisce and talk about the old times. Of course, Fabian, and now we know Fabian and Lonnie is in the UK. So it's always good to see everybody's favorite character come back every night on the show.
That's
I
good.
told y'all, man.
Like, a good TV show always, especially from its origin, a good show always does trickles of like origin stories of people like that started the show, especially if it's a spinoff. Good spinoffs always kind of have to weave in the previous characters to make the show make sense, and also give the fans like, okay, yeah, we remember that. Yeah, that's the best.
All right, Fashion Dolls. Now, before we get into our games, we're gonna ask Ken. Yeah, we're gonna get into our games, and then we're gonna ask Kenyon some questions. Do you guys have any questions? You guys can answer them after our games. And I did this with Eugene in our previous interview. So y'all know what time it is, and I do this with all of my guests. It is time to turn those tables. But before we get into turn the tables, we are going to do something called the Rapid Five. All right? And Kenyon has to tell me 5 things he can't live without. It can be his favorite football team, his favorite musician, his favorite drink, his favorite anything that he likes to binge that he can't live without. So Kenyon, what are 5 things that you can't live without?
Sleep. I love a good nap. I need my naps because I will be very evil most times. I cannot live without my nap. Water. I love water. Working out. My solitude. Cannot listen. I like to be by myself most times. I'm an only child, so I learn to entertain myself. And what else? For let's say without a car. Oh my gosh. I need to be able to get up and go when I want to.
All right, fashion balls. There you have it. All right, my heart is beating so fast because he's one of my favorite stars on Triangle, along with David as well. So we got a question from Roger,
No, here.
the man himself. He wants to know your favorite part of acting.
Being able to tap into different emotions or people, because I know for me, I consider myself very bored. So for me to be able to like tap into different things, like comedy or being evil, like I like that aspect of it. Yeah, like even so to take it back to trying, one of my favorite times, like one of my acting, whatever, probably catalogs or not catalogs, but like one of my favorite times was playing evil when I was playing Chad when it was like the took over my body. So I was just the whole time. So it was like one of my favorite times because it was like, okay, yeah. And then also like just being like funny on set. Like I did a comedy role, comedic. I would love to do that one time. So I like to try different things.
Yes, because we see you as Jabril Davenport. The world sees you as that. And when you guys did that change with the twin switch, Chrissy knew something was off, Fallon knew something was off, everybody knew something was off, even Brandon. So I'm just like, he has no emotion, and I'm just like, I'm not going to look him in the eyes directly because I know he's got something evil he's working on behind the scenes in this character. You were focused, you were laser beamed. When he said, okay, I'm going to have a twin, and the evil twin is going to be Chadwick, and he's coming back because Chadwick went all the way, what was it, overseas or something. He came back and he had facial reconstructive surgery, and he looks just like you. So you had to play both characters.
Right.
What was it like juggling that and having to switch back to Jabril and then be this person? Because Jabril went missing, and it was Chadwick, and it's just like, who is my husband? That's what Brandon was saying. Who is my husband? Who did I marry?
Like I said, that was fun. I liked it. It was different. Like I didn't think that. Like I guess over the course of time, you figure out different ways to keep the story going and interesting. With every soap opera, of course, with soap opera isn't complete without an evil twin or a doppelganger or something. So you have to incorporate that somewhere. Every soap opera has had it, and they continue to have it. So it was right on like brand for soap opera. Yeah, and it was just really fun to do it. I really liked it because it was a way to keep both characters alive. If you couldn't film, okay, here we go, we can do this. And then to figure out that Winston character saved them, and now they're kind of like Winston like wants to be in love with him, and it was a lot. So it was really fun to play that whole arc. That story arc was really fun.
Another one of your cast members is here. Hi, Tony. And it's been a minute since I've seen you, Tony, because me and my co-host interviewed Tony here on the show as well, too. So just about half of the cast of Talks with Myself I've interviewed, except for a few. And they're going to be coming on the show. Deb is coming on the show next month. And we have a few others that I'm going to reach out to about coming on the show as well, too. But Tony is so talented. I've listened to some of his music. He sings and he acts. And it's just like a balance with both of them. Mm-hmm. So for him to see him on the show as well too, because it shocked me. I said, "Hey, I interviewed him. That's Tony." So to see Tony on the show as well too, it was great.
And he acts his ass off too. So yes.
All right, fashion dolls. Moment of truth. It is time to turn the tables, and my heart is beating so fast. So Kenyon gets to ask me as many questions as he wants to, and I did this with Eugene last week. Mm-hmm. So it is now Kenyon's turn to turn the tables and ask me any questions he wants to. Life, fashion, beauty, whatever he wants to know. And you guys will get to find out through this question, all right? So take it.
All right. So what brought you to dive into? I guess it's more so like what brought you to dive into people that are off the beaten path, like people that, oh, this is like web series and gay culture. What brought you? What gave you that passion to actually like now I want to interview these people? This is my line. This is my lane that I want. What brought you to that?
Right after high school did it for me because I started right after high school, believe it or not, 2013, 2014, right after high school. And I said, it was originally called Weekdays Topics, where I would do celebrity pop culture and what goes on in the world with music. But then I said, you know what, let me go ahead and start interviewing people. But I always wanted to host a talk show, always wanted to host a platform. And I would line the dark and lovely boxes up in my dad's room. And I said, I want to look like one of the girls on that dark and lovely box, and I want to host a talk show. So it prepared me right then and there. In elementary school, we had an assignment where we had to literally be news reporters, like we write for the newspaper and things. So those are little things that I remembered that made me get to the stepping stone at this point in my life at 30 years, because I've been doing this for a long time. Started right after high school. And I had no clue what I was doing, but your co-star David was one of the first ones that I interviewed, and so many others on the platform. And that gave me the stepping stone to say, okay, I want to continue on with this because we didn't have a name for it. And I'm just sitting in my room just doodling because I love to write. I'm always writing things down. And I said, it's got to have a name. It can't be Weekdays Topics. No. It's got to be Style by Stevie, because people like fashion, people like entertainment, people like culture. So that's what made me get into it. I said, people deserve to hear my point of view, my perspective, but also the actor's perspective as well, too. So the reason why I call it the dollhouse, I know you guys want to know, because I dress you with love. You guys see the different fashions and things that I give you here on this platform, but my guests are also dressing you with love as well, too. They're dressing you with knowledge, because there's a lot of people that want to get into the acting business, a lot of people that want to get into the music business, and they don't know what steps to take. So that's why I call it the dollhouse, and you guys are my fashion dolls. So
Nice. Yeah, because I've tapped into your interviews, and you're always like, you've been having so much like knowledge and history, which is signs of a great interviewer or a journalist. So kudos to you for that, because a lot of stuff that you bring up with me, I was like, I don't know. And then I could see like a lot of things that you bring up in past people. They're like, what? I don't remember that, but you be on it. So kudos to you for that, for easily tapping into that. Like that's a testament to you and your craft. So thank you.
I had to do my research for this interview. I'm a major Triangle fan, and I said I have to remember every single episode from season 1 to season 2 to season 3. All of them, I have remembered them firsthand. And even when it comes to doing interviews with the Vanessa Williams, because I did an interview with her, that was nerve-wracking. And then I did an interview with Tommy Davidson as well too. But the Vanessa Williams interview, because she is so down to earth, and a lot of people look at her as this big superstar, but she's just like, when I sat down and I had that conversation with her, a lot of people remember that interview. She was so down to earth. She was so laid back. When she came on with her beautiful crystal blue eyes, and she didn't have on a drop of makeup, I'm sitting there all glammed up, and she said, "Hi, how you doing?" Hair was just like she just rolled out of bed, beautiful. I said, "This is Vanessa Williams. This is real time." I had pictures of this woman plaster on my wall because I was big in makeup and hair. I always wanted to do hair and do makeup and things. She was one of the inspirations. So to see her face to face, like, this is real time. It's like, don't lock up, girl.
Right.
And my mom gave me some advice during that interview. She said, just be yourself, just be normal, and the interview just flowed. Like, all of my interviews flow because I don't even know the guests or what their personality is going to be like. So I try to make it warm and welcoming and inviting for all of my guests, because it's like doing interviews can be nerve-wracking. Even I've done interviews and I'm just like, what are they going to ask me? You kind of have to look like, what is this person going to ask me? How deep and personal are you going to get? So Turn the Table segment is like where my guests get to see me in a transparent light, whereas the previous season before I was very shut off. I was just like, I don't want to talk about that, very coy, whereas now I'm just like, the door is open. I'm ready to put whatever it is out there on the table. So yeah.
I'm the same way. Like, interviews, I'll be like, I'll be so nervous. I'll be like, Do I want to? Yeah, go ahead, do it. But yeah, like I said, and plus I feel like most times I have like terrible personality. Sometimes so I'm like, okay, I gotta be upbeat, I gotta be fun, all that stuff. And most times it's always the person that you're interacting with. If they make you comfortable, it just seems like, oh, it's just a conversation. It's not really an interview. So yes, that's what you do with a lot of people. Thank you for that.
I was nervous doing this interview with you. I told my brother K2, I said, I'm going to be so scared. I'm not going to look him in the eyes. I'm going to have to do this the whole time because he's so handsome. He's so dreamy. He's so talented. So how am I going to stay focused? Like, what if he channels Jabril Davenport in the interview? And that was my thing with David, but David was the complete opposite. When I seen the wheelchair scene with him and Clint on the show, the gentleman who plays Clint on the show, I said, he's evil. He's calculated. He's Fallon's do guy. So when I met David, he was like, oh no, you don't need to be nervous, but with you, it's the same thing. And even when I interviewed Chrissy, that's going to be my dream interview as well, too. She said, you interviewed David. Now, this is what Chrissy said. She said, you interviewed David, girl, you could have interviewed me. So if I would have reached out for her, yes.
In her schedule, she'll definitely be, she's ready, but I know she would be. I know she would definitely, yeah.
Now, we're still in the turn the tables. Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You just brought up Terrell, his character, Clint. Like, I always said, like, that's probably, like, my favorite character on the show, Triangle. Just the way he plays it, because it's, like, totally opposite of him in person, in real life. Yeah, and I always tell people, like, that's, like, probably my favorite person, because that character, the way he plays it has a lot of depth, and it's always like this unbothered the way he plays it. So yes, that was one of my favorite characters. Yes,
he is evil and savage. He doesn't care. And then the other character, Bert, we get introduced to Bert. Him and Bert have history, and then Clint has a sister as well too, and she's just as ruthless and savage as he is.
Yes. So on to table turn still. So do you see yourself acting? Do you want to act, jump in a series? Would you do that?
Would I? I actually did a horror film, and it's called The Assistant. It was my very first acting role, and I went in with no acting experience. The funny part is I got the role on my birthday, and he messaged me right after we did our interview, the director of the film, and he said, do you want to be in a horror film? I said, I have no acting experience. But he said, trust me, I got you. So here's the catch, because there's always a catch with directors, all right? So he said, I got a role for you. I'm going to write it for you. The catch is you won't have long hair.
Oh.
Here I am. Here I am, and at the time I had at least 20 inches of hair down my back. Naomi Campbell, black, straight, beautiful, long. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it for you because I always love transforming. Rihanna says, be bold, take chances, just do it. Don't be bored. So I thought about what Rihanna said. She said she gets bored with her hair. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Because he didn't want me to look like one of the students for this role. I was playing a college professor. And the professor, she was a little bit like me, a little bit like my personality, very mellowed out, very civilized, all about her business. And I said, I like this. I like it a lot. Went to the table read, did the table read, nailed it. And then the day we shot the film, what was so funny was everybody was getting their parts mixed up. So I got my lines. I've already shot my scene, but everybody else was going over each other. So it was sort of like a bloopers. We just laughed at it, but it was fun.
Oh.
I would do it again.
Wait, so what was your role? What were you doing in the horror film? What did you do?
Me and one of my students had an exchange. Shout outs to Roman. We had an exchange, and he was just talking in the dialogue between us two. He said something, I said something back to him. I said, not too much. I didn't have enough or something in the lines of that extent. But me and Roman, we are still cool. And then he's guest co-hosted on the show with me. So he's a hairstylist, and he's just like, okay, we love the pixie on you. Alex picked the whole look out. They picked the whole look of what he wanted me to look like. He did not want me to look like a student, because if you are playing a college professor, the key thing is to age somebody a little bit. And of course, I still had a young face. All of us were young faces. But he said, I want this pixie cut on me, because I wore the pixie cut one day on the show. And he said, you got to do this for the role. And I said, all right, I'll do it for you. But the next day after, I went back to my long hair, and I had a sickening side part. It was black, it was long, it was giving Cardi B. So I'm always changing up my hair. You never know what you're gonna get with me.
It was Revenge of the Hair. I need my hair back. I need my hair back.
Yes, I couldn't. I was like withdrawn. But what I loved about it was it showed off my eyes so much. I have brown eyes, so the cut showed off the eyes just perfectly. And I went back and I watched the film. He sent me the film footage, the actual film, and it was complete and everything. And I said, "Oh my God, that's me on screen right there." And we shot it during the pandemic, so it was virtual, like in a classroom setting, and it was amazing. First acting experience, but I would love to do more acting outside of hosting this platform.
Oh, so you wasn't like running around getting chopped up for the horror film?
No.
So who's your ideal guest?
My ideal guest.
Yes. Like if you could interview anybody, and they gave you free range, who would it be?
I would say Taraji P. Henson, because our personalities are so much alike. We're bubbly. We like to have a good time. And she's a girl's girl. I'm a girl's girl. And I love to have a good time with people. I'm always outgoing, adventurous in real life. Like, even on this platform, I have people that can vouch for me. What you see is what you get. I love to have a good time and go out with people, hang out, shop, whatever, and crack jokes behind the scene. One of my guests, he had me do this. And he was just like, what is one thing people don't know about you? And I'm not going to do it for King because it will be super embarrassing. He made me break out and do my Jennifer Lewis impersonation. And you guys know Jennifer Lewis. She was the mom. What's Love Got to Do with It? Angela Bassett. And then she did Jackie's Back. So he made me break out in this interview. I said, no, I won't do it. I won't do it. So that's something that I do behind the scenes. I do it for my mom and I make her laugh. But that's my dream guest, Taraji. And I use her hair products. Amazing.
Okay, so we got to put it in the universe. You're going to be interviewing Taraji soon.
Yeah.
Now I need to see the Jennifer Lewis. We love a Jackie's Back. July 16th, 15th. What is it? What's Jackie Washington Day?
Yep, July 15th. Yep. That's right.
I feel like somebody stole my DVD too.
You name them the legends. Yes, Jennifer Lewis, she is. And she is the mother of Black Hollywood. Yep. She played everybody's mom. I get a kick out of watching her comedy. Now, the Meet the Brown scene, the Falling in the Grave, that is one right there for the books. And then, of course, Jackie's Back. And I know the movie word for word. They all stole from me. I know it all. Hey. So I'm a big Jackie Washington fan.
Listen, I will watch that. I will watch clips from that movie I don't care. I love it. It never gets old. It's always the same thing. Love it.
And when my guests made me do it, I'm like, no, Deshaun, this is embarrassing. No, please don't make me do this. I mean, I like to make people laugh. But I'm like, if you're going to do the mother of Black Hollywood, honey, you have to come up. It's just like Kiki when she did her impersonation of Angela. It's embarrassing. She had to do it for Queen Latifah, but she's spot on with it. But I had to do it for the audience. They're just like, you sound just like her. So I'm just like, I don't see it.
Well, look, so you got to call in. Come on, step back into acting.
Yes. Jennifer. Oh, you asking me to impersonate her?
Go ahead.
Oh, my God. Oh, this is so embarrassing. Okay, it's one scene in the movie. She's just like naming all the girls who she thought stole music from her when the guy asking her about her records and albums and things. She said, okay, let me get into character. She says, Lil Brandy, B. Arthur, Streisand, Diane Carroll, they all stole. And then Diane Carroll says, I'm going to tell Jackie Washington about stealing from me because I did not steal from her. Yes, so I mean, that's like, one. The other one is she says about her relaxer.
Cut. Diane Carroll was like, you know what? I'm going to call my lawyer right now.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to call my lawyer. I mean, everybody was in the film. You had Kathy Griffin, you had Whoopi Goldberg, and her and Whoopi, they have this great relationship. So it's great to see them together in the film as well, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that movie definitely had all of the what do you call it? All of
Liza Minnelli too.
did it go back? Hold up, where I go?
My name, they mouth, those eyes. My God, I'm screaming. Yes, Jackie's back. That movie is so iconic, y'all.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Oh, I can't see myself. Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
We got you back. All right, fashion dolls, we are still in turn the tables. Kenyon can ask as many questions as he wants. So when you get a call or a message, it knocks you out.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I seen it. I was like trying to swipe off of it, and it took me into it. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. What else? What else? Would you ever do a podcast?
Would I ever do a podcast? Yes. I'm actually going to be doing something next month with Marcos Luis on his podcast, One Mic Night, and I'm super excited. This will be an interview, and he's just like, okay, we want to know more about you because I keep certain things private to myself. I don't put it all the way out there, but I try to be as transparent with people. So this interview is probably going to be my most open and candid interview there is. I have no clue what he's going to ask me, but he's going to want to know. People want to know, who is Miss Stevie? So we'll find that out next.
Nice. Okay. See, that's the best interviews. They don't give you no questions, nothing. We just come into it, and that's. Mm-hmm.
Intimate and personal, and that's what I try to do with my interviews as well too, because I'm pretty sure the viewers at home, if you're going to host a platform, you have to try to make it as relatable as possible to the viewer.
Right.
And the viewer at home watching can say, hey, I took from personal experience, or I know someone who's experienced this personally. So that's what my interviews, I try to do that.
Got you. Okay. I don't have any more turn the tables on you. I don't make you nervous.
Besides the Jennifer Lewis impersonation he made me do, y'all. And in the previous one, if you check that one out with Deshaun D. Will Spivey, he's just like, well, I think the fashion dolls want to see that. I said, no, the fashion dolls don't want to see that. I do that for my mom behind the scenes. So I go and I grab a box of Cream of Nature and I say, this is Essence of Jackie. I didn't make it for the dolls. This is something. So, I mean, something to make my mom crack up, and then my grandmother, too. So, right, King David. I like my interviews to flow naturally, authentically, where the guests are just as transparent as well as myself. And the viewers at home that are watching, they can take something away from it as well, too. Like, if I want to get into entertainment business, this is something that I do. Or this is the steps that I need to take to get to the next part of my career. I'm doing it right. I'm taking the training, but this is what I need to do. So it's also an educational experience. And I try to make it fun where people are just not bored.
Right.
Because I notice hosting a talk show or platform, you got to have energy. And I'm a Scorpio. 10/31, Halloween, I'm a Scorpio. So I have to make sure that my energy is on full up and up and up and up. And I hope my audience, my viewers get that too.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Well, you definitely do a good job for questions and hosting. Kudos to you for that. And when you hit me up like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh shoot, I totally forgot about that because we did it so far in advance because you were like, well, you were on it. I got this date. I'm all booked up. I said, okay, let's go.
And we did it. We're here, Fashion Dolls. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed the conversation. You guys enjoyed the interview. So before we close out, because we went over an hour, this is an hour-long conversation with one of my favorite stars of the hottest soap there is, and that is Triangle and Talks with Myself. So I'm so honored I got to interview you. It was a blessing in disguise. And I manifested it in the future years long. I was like, I'm going to manifest an interview with Kenyon or either Dominique or either Chrissy. Some of the main key characters on the show, I got to interview Kiko. Kiko is so stylish. And again, when I see her, I see myself because Caesar, Ballroom Throwbacks, the writing on the show, its representation is key because you get to see so many different facets of the queer community on this platform. One thing they touched on, open relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys touched on it in this soap. And it's just like, oh my God. And it has us clutching our pearls, the viewers.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So, Caesar, all of y'all, Ballroom Throwback, you guys are ahead of your time with writing everything. So, keep us on our toes, and I love it.
Well, thank you.
Any questions for myself or Kenyon Fashion Dolls? I see you guys are typing in. King David says, I watch the seasons over and over again. Me too. Triangle is a show that I can binge watch from beginning to end. And it's always a plot.
It's so many
You're waiting on the next
episodes. You know, it's a spinoff of a spinoff of a spinoff. We have like, yeah.
Insider.
Yes.
You did the spinoff. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the Davenport Diaries is always like a chapter, each going into or focusing on the key point of one specific character. Like they gave Emery's character on the show his spinoff. So I mean,
everybody pretty much had a split. Yeah, everybody had pretty much had a spinoff. Yep.
All right, Fashion Dolls, do we have any questions for myself or Kenyon? This was such a dynamic interview, and there is a question: Do you think that Jabril would ever get tired of hitting the restart button with Brandon? I do love them together. Me too.
I think they're done with the restart after. Well, I don't even remember how it ended. Well, paused or whatever. Yeah, I think it's really just the dynamic now of having a child that they have to deal with.
Your son from Eve.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And yes, that is correct, Kieran. She says that you've written Blue Velvet. So again, another spinoff. What was it like writing, other than you got to produce, you got to be in front of the lens? Now, what is it like writing and being behind the scenes for you as well, too?
Well, I actually like being behind the camera more, like producing and writing, because I like to bring stuff off the page. I like being able to have your hands in that. I think that's fulfilling. I mean, I like acting too, but more so behind the scenes is really good. So yeah.
And they're saying Blue Velvet was good also.
Yep. That was the more so just dealing with Brandon and Jabril, and his family. So yeah.
Any more questions, Fashion Dolls, Triangle? Because the Triangle fans are here. As soon as I announced that you was coming on the show, I got inboxes and questions asking you this about Triangle. Like, you guys have diehard fans. I'm a diehard fan of the show. And even bigger names are watching the show as well, too. So, Triangle's all over the world. People are watching it. What is the impact that you guys are? I mean, what is the reactions? Has family watched the show as well, too?
We have like a lot of people that are like, oh, I watched you since I was a teenager, who are adults now, which is like crazy. It's like, oh my gosh, you've been around that long. And we have like a lot of like South African people that reach out like, oh, we don't have anything like this. We watch it on TV. It's really inspiring. It's like, oh, okay. Sometimes you don't realize the reach you have or the reach that has happened or touched people, and how people was able to watch things that made them see themselves, which is really good.
And it's inclusion. Again, like I said, when I seen Kiko, this stylish, because not only Kiko is stylish, but Fallon, they run toe-to-toe with each other. I mean, the whole cast is stylish in their own way.
Go ahead.
And Roger has a question, too. We need another season. I know, right, King David? Triangle to me, when I say Kiko, when I seen her, the stylish, beautiful black trans sister, Chocolate, she looks just like me. I felt included when I first seen her on there, and I love how she changes up her look. Every scene she changes up her look. You see her, if not her, then Chrissy. But they're women, and we understand each other instantly. I don't like to stay the same. Even Rihanna said it best. Rihanna said this: I get bored, and I know I get bored. I have platinum blonde hair today. Tomorrow it might be a completely different color or texture. We just have to stay tuned to find out what it is, what's it going to be tomorrow.
What kind of hair is she going to give me for this interview?
That's exactly what he said, because when I interviewed Derek, I had blue hair. And people were saying, oh my God, it's purple. But if you've seen it in person, you're like, that's blue. So I have to wear it again. But it's not going to be this color tomorrow, I promise. I only wanted to do something as a tribute to this intergalactic space goddesses. You guys can see I'm wearing latex today, trying not to die over here. But I said I'm going to suffer through it for Kenyon. It's fashion and beauty, so I got to suffer through it.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah.
You give me Storm, yes.
David says, I really enjoyed the event in DC and when you was able to meet the cast. A fun time. Yes, and you guys had a lot of meet and greets for Triangle. And Roger had a question as well, too. He says, what is the hardest scene you ever had to do?
Uh, Hardest. Well, I think any scene where I have to like, this seems so bad. When I have to cry, because you have to like tap into something. It's just always so hard. I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So it's very difficult to pull it out because it's like I'm such like a closed off person. So it's like, now I got to cry in scene. So it takes a lot to get there. I'm always like doing some weird because you have to like tap into something to make yourself do that. And I'm like, oh, nothing's really gonna make me cry. But so any like crying scene or so. What else? Yeah, hard. I think that's pretty much it. Like any emotional scenes really are like a little difficult because because you have to go, you got to go a certain place. You got to make sure you don't stay in that place after the scene. So that's always hard to like. You got to be able to like shut it off, turn it off, that type of thing. So yeah.
There hasn't been a character that I've seen you play where you've not cried at all. Like Jabril Davenport is stoic. The Davenports, well, Chrissy Fallon, you might have seen her cry 1 or 2 times in an episode, but Jabril is stoic, and you can see it through the icy stare. I'm like, if he stares at something, it's like it melts your soul. It's evil. So yeah, I haven't seen Jabril cry. Brandon, yes.
Oh yeah.
Jabril, no, he's stoic. The Davenport family is stoic. Raven, you might have seen her cry once or twice. For you, crying scene, no, I haven't seen it.
Right.
Someone said it in the comments, Capricorn energy.
Yes.
Hi, Sam. Do we have any more questions for Kenyon Fashion Dolls? We are taking questions from the viewers now. I've answered all of mine. Now it's time to hear from you guys because you guys are major Triangle fans. Let me see. Just Me 24 Hours a Day. He cried when he went to visit Brandon in rehab. Yes, he did. I remember that.
Oh, that's
The Triangle fans know that we know.
so many.
They remember.
So many episodes, scenes. I don't remember majority of them. Like I have to like think about it. Once you bring it up, like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it's a lot that's happened. Y'all had Clint captive. What was it, season 2? Winston, Fallon had him at the house, and then Winston pushed him in the wheelchair. We remember all of these things. The Triangle fans know. How fun is it being married to Brandon on the show? I'm a huge Dom fan.
How fun! Oh, me and Dominique are like two peas in the pod. It's always fun on set. But for us, like our characters, kind of like for us, for Jabril and Brandon, it kind of just like blends in. Like we could just be like, oh, we know, just give us a topic, and we could just go in the scene and deal with it. And like most of the times, we didn't really like we had a script, but for us, it's just like, well, this is what you need to discuss. Just talk about it. And it was just like action, and we would just go like so. A lot of them scenes was kind of just off the cusp. It's just a testament to our years. Just that, so it was really good.
I joined late, but is the series coming back? I love it so much, and that is from Tremaine the Killer.
It is coming back probably by the end of the year. They did because Caesar did Barman Bill Backs. He did announce that we are going to kind of not wrap it up, but give the fans something because it kind of abruptly ended with COVID and other personal things that happened. So it is going to come back. I don't know if it's going to be like a movie or a set series or a run. We're not sure totally just yet, but we did get that notification because he announced it himself. So yeah.
I can't wait because it left off on season 6. And we're seeing Jabril, we're seeing Brandon, and now you guys are balancing this life with this life that is in here.
Season 6, like season 20.
I think season 6, season 20, one of the two. I'm lost. It's so many. But it left there with you guys having your son on the show. And then Eve. And then Fallon trying to pick up the pieces, working with Raven, and her son comes back because her son went evil too, and they sent him. You guys had to send him off, and we didn't see him in this season. So a lot has happened since then.
Yeah.
Monica is Clint's sister. Monica is just as savage as Clint.
Yes.
We need another meet and greet event, King David.
Yep, we gotta set that up because the fans are always asking. Yeah, so yeah, definitely need to put that on.
They're ready for it. They know so much. Each episode, each detail, they know so much. You guys know so much as well as myself because I'm a fan of the show. I've been watching from the beginning since it first came out. When Brandon had the salon, he was working in the salon, and then Ronnie went undercover. She hid herself. Kiko's aunt, and then she showed back and she reappeared. And her and Fallon had their exchange in the office. Ashton, and yeah.
It's always a lot. The dynamic with all the cast is always fire. No matter who you're in like scene with, it's always good. So yeah.
And Chrissy gives it right back to him. It's like you throw a shot at her, she's gonna throw. Especially the scenes with her and Ashton. When she went to Ashton's house on this season right here, this previous season that was already been released, they were still exchanging shots, and Ashton was just like, you know what, I'm gonna take the high road with you. I'm not gonna do this. And she just kept throwing insults.
Those two could never get it right. They were always at it.
Even from the beginning.
Yep.
From the beginning, when the dinner scene, the infamous dinner scene, you guys have seen it. It's like you guys had a dinner scene in the cellar, and everybody's dirty laundry. So Fallon was stacking her cards up. Clint, Eve, and Ashton. She got them all back, one by one.
It's always a time. Trust me. Like you said, black soap opera.
There's so many twists and turns. And King David said, or at least a premiere party. That would be nice, a triangle premiere party.
Yes. Drop it for the fans. That would be really nice. I'll drop a bug in the ear.
And that is a good question. Is it weird for you to go back and watch yourself on an episode? Like, do you go back and watch any of your previous episodes of Triangle Talks with Myself?
I hate going back and watching. I hate watching myself. As always, I'm watching. Because it's always like, oh, I could have did this. It's being very critical of yourself.
I do too.
We are our own worst critics, so I'm always like, oh, I should have did this. I could have did this. Oh, I don't like that, or no. Or I'm like, if I'm in the scene, I'm dreading it, and it comes out. Sometimes it comes out better than I thought it did come out. So yeah, it's always I can't really like. I don't. Like, I'm always like, I don't see it. So yeah. So yes, it's very weird.
I'm shocked because I would have thought you would go back and watch some of your previous episodes of Talks with Myself or even Triangle from the beginning.
No, I don't go back. They'll either pop up like on my timeline or like YouTube. I'll see like something like a recommendation or something. I'll maybe tap in and watch it, or they're like clips somewhere and I'll watch it. Like some clips resurface. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. But I purposely do not go back and watch it. Like, I don't intentionally go back. Like, let me watch this. I thought about going back and watching Triangle, just because there's been so many, like, episodes. And I was just like, oh. Actually, somebody had asked me the best way to watch it. And I had to, like, sit and think about, like, the timeline of what to watch first. And I was like, oh, we really did a lot of shows. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to go back and watch because I don't remember what happened here and there. So, yeah.
And King David, I agree. There's definitely growth with the cast. You've seen so many new characters come on the scene as well, too. Like I mentioned, Monica. You get to see Jabril Jr. You get to see Fallon has a son and a daughter. And everybody and how they're balancing out on handling the Davenport business. So it's different. And then Mason, we find out that Mason's a Davenport. So I'm just like, wait, what? The paperwork. And then someone did something to the paperwork. I think you did something to the paperwork to say, okay, I'm not related to him. And then he had to go back and find the paperwork to say, okay, you are related. So Fallon came and dropped the news to him, and he just couldn't believe it.
Right.
He just couldn't believe it. I'm like, I can't believe this.
But that's how you keep any show interesting. You have to You have to add new storyline, new characters to make it interesting. Like I said, with the Talks Among Us series, you have to add more people in to keep people engaged. And you got to add more nuances to it because it makes it more interesting. You want people to come back. Well, what's happening now? What's going to happen this season? What's going to happen this episode? That's anything to it, like a good writer, producer. You have to be able to bring new life to old things, you know? So it's always revitalizing.
I'm back. Come on, Father. And that's what my name is. Exactly. Even when talks with myself, Damien's character on the show, Russell, I had to ask him the same question, making the parallel between Damien and the character, and getting mixed emotions from the audience and people having to separate from the character versus the actual person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're no longer, when you go home, you are no longer Jabril or Morris, you are Kenyon.
Right.
And so when people walk out, they get you mistaken for the character. And that has happened where people are so mad, because there have been times where I've been mad with your character, and I'm just like, oh, I cannot stand him. And he's giving that evil stare, he's up to something, or either Chrissy's character, I'll be mad at her character, or Clint just pop up out of nowhere. And Terrell, his voice is very scary too. I'm just like, hell yes, I'm scared of him. So I mean, everybody has their own equal thing. Even Tessa's trying to find her way, and then the other mom, she's trying to find her way as well too. And y'all's father also had scandal as well too behind the scenes before he passed away, and we've seen that in one of the previous episodes where Tessa walked in on him. And he was sleeping with somebody else. So all of these things just started to come out. Yeah.
Yes, it's always. I know before, like in the early days of like Triangle, like I would be out and people would be like staring at me now because I'm like, I try to like, introvert or whatever. And I'm like, why are these people staring? Why are they staring at me? And then they're like, oh, you did this, you did this. I was just in the gym like 2 weeks ago, and this lady was like, I've seen her in the gym before, like, and so she's like always in her own world working out, and so she like we were kind of like in the same corner working out. Like I was on this bench, she was on the next. We kind of like, she was like, can I ask you something? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. What's up? she was like, are you an actor? And I was like, yeah, I am. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I seen some clips on YouTube. Not, she's like, I seen something on Instagram, and I thought that was you, but I wasn't sure, and I was just staring. I was like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's me. So.
It had to do a double take, like look at the phone and then look at you, like, okay, I'm pretty sure you get that a lot when you go out. And I could never stay mad at Jabril or Fallon. They're always up to something. And Brandon is even taking a step up as well, too, and to taking sure that he's over the, Davenport as well, too. So, I mean, his way in the family, everybody is making their way. Even the brother, your brother on the show, Corey, he's making his way. He's got his family and his girlfriend as well, too, Melanie. How does that make you feel getting recognized in public? Like, what has been the reactions from people walking up to you? Anger, happiness, what?
I always try to be happy. You have to be engaging because you want people to come back to the show. You don't want to be like a total, standoffish person. So I'm always like inviting, or like, oh, take a picture, or like people will like hit me up after they've seen me, like on Instagram. Oh, I seen you. I'm like, well, why didn't you speak? Next time, make sure you speak. That type of thing. You always got to be inviting to people because you want people to keep watching the show and come back to it. Even funny thing during COVID, so I was at work, and, people were wearing masks at COVID, and somebody came in, and they were like, oh, what did they say? Or hate you, something like that. And I was like, how can you tell who I am? And I can tell through the mask.
Your eyes give it away.
I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so being recognized is like, it's always a humbling thing and also like a nervous thing. But yeah, it's fun. I appreciate it.
And you guys have Triangle has such a big fan base, but not only Triangle, but Talks with Myself, this show. And I said it in the beginning of our interview, you guys are on fire with what you're doing, with the writing on each part, and making sure that everybody, even us, the viewers at home, are included as well. So representation is key, and I can't wait for the next upcoming season of Triangle because I know it's going to be big with ballroom throwbacks. TV, you guys just have to make sure that you are tuned in and catch up on some of the previous episodes, because when I got the notification that ballroom throwbacks dropped episodes out,
Oh yeah.
I think it was yeah, the previous before dropped. I said I gotta catch up, and I caught up on everything. So it's like, okay, we're seeing everything in a different light. Everybody's still working on that place in the Davenport dynasty. Black queer series pioneer. Look at that. And you are. You've been doing it for a long time, Kenyon. So how does it make you feel for people to be calling you a pioneer?
It's humbling. I like it. You always get like, you never think about the impact or the reach or what people have, you know, seen or remember or what influence impacted them. It's always it's really nice to hear a lot of times. Even with the two shows, it's two different audiences. Like it's always like younger, talk to myself, older, more mature, they can relate to the stories more. So it's always two different type of reactions. Yes.
And one Corday says he only watches for you.
Oh, Cordy.
Listen, Triangle was the first series I watched. Me too. Weren't you on Finding Me as well? You sure were.
We were talking about
yes. I love Jabril like Brandon does. I just want to be a big sister to Morris. Love and appreciate you, Ken. And that is just 24 hours a day. And yes, on Talks with Myself, your character Morris, he was married, and what I love is that Roger wrote it so, because even that happens in real life too, where the characters, if you're coming out, you know, you're discovering who you are. It was a show it was a comedy. Fran Drescher did it. It's called Happily Divorced. She found out that her husband was gay, and they still have a relationship. You don't see that often. So I love the way that Roger wrote it so that you and your wife on the show, she was like, well, it was one thing you said you guys were sitting in the park and having a conversation. She said, well, I did had you first, or something to that extent. And she was like, well, now you like men. So, I mean, it was funny. It was cute. But you two still had a relationship, and you laughed and you were able to talk. That's healthy right there, because we don't really see that. Most women find out that their husband is gay or whatever, they bash him or whatever, but to see the camaraderie of women support their husbands, and it's just like, okay, we can talk. If we have a kid or whatever together, but Morris doesn't have a kid on the show. You two just were married. And you still were talking, communicating with one another, and she was supportive. You hardly ever see that. And she called you on the phone. There was one scene on Talks with Myself where she called you on the phone. It's just like, I've been trying to call you to let you know this or whatever. So you two were still communicating. We don't see that in the queer community. It's just like when most people have a marriage, or they get married, or they're married to a woman, and the wife finds out that their husband is gay or whatever, it's just the end. But that's not the case with some people. Most people go back and they're just like, okay, we can be friends, we can be cordial. If there's children involved, I'm still the father or the mother or whomever, we can still talk and communicate. And that's healthy. So I'm glad that Roger showed that. Even with Bryant's character on Finding Me, Omar had a child. And he had a baby mother. Rest in peace, Maurice Morel. He was dating Omar on the show. And we get to see Omar and his relationship and coping with the loss, even though he caused that loss. Because if you guys watch Finding Me Truth, the movie, you see the car scene, and I can't give it away. No spoiler alerts over here. But we see it on the show where he's just trying to find his way in new relationships, life. He's trying to get a job. He's trying to go legit, do the right thing. Whereas Omar, before in the film, he was a little bit of he was a bad boy. Like the scene where he busted him over the head with the bottle. Yeah. In the movie, it was pretty funny. So Roger's comedy timing is just amazing. Everything.
Because he also knows how to incorporate current events and current life, how things are going now. Even with the Talks with Myself, idea, because everybody now is talking to themselves literally on lives. They're doing the reels or all that stuff, and that's all actually stuff that's going on, current. So it ties into real life activity, because if you watch like with the talks himself, and when he's doing the lives, there's comments coming up, so he's commenting on the comments, and they're doing it. So it's all like this is actually still going on right now. So yes, thank you.
They are just loving you and admiration in the comments. My fraternal Alan Yankee says he is a beautiful man, Savannah. Y'all know I love Waiting to Exhale. That's one of my favorite movies, and I'm a big Whitney Houston fan.
Me too. I love me some Nippy.
Life is a job, says Kenyon is so damn handsome. You are getting all this love and admiration, and you're taking it in. What is your secret? Because it's like you have an energy about you where it's just like, I'm getting all of this love, I'm getting all of this acceptance, and it shows. Your skin is glowing, you're a beautiful looking man in the comments here. What is your secret to just protecting your peace? And it shows on you all over.
I try to say to myself as much as possible, because taking on can weigh you down, like so just trying to stay positive most of the time, and not so. You also have to be able to detach from certain things, and that takes a lot, because you have to give yourself time alone. It's no way you can't do that. And I think that's very important. So alone time and being able to center yourself is always a good thing. Because sometimes you just have to, deal with it. I know for me, right before I go to work, I always like, if somebody's texting me, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting in the car, getting my mind right before to go into work, because you don't want to go into, your professional life, bringing your work, your home life balance, whatever. So I'm like always in the, like, and I'm like being fun, like I'm in the car, like building my force field around me before I walk in anywhere. And also I do this thing where, I don't know if it's paranoia or just anxiety. You always like think about all the possible things that can go wrong before you get there, and then anything in between you're fine with.
I'm the same way. I think of what's the worst that could happen, and it's just like, okay, keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are just coming in with so much love. Just me, 24 hours a day. You are the second person that said that today. Kev, thank you so much. You guys are both of you are beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Aside of Rice says, this probably has been asked, but which character do you relate to the most?
Probably Morris. Yeah, probably Morris. Only because I feel like he's always learning. But like I said, it's a trial and error thing, because it's always mistakes. It's always like, oh, it's like, okay, this is something that has to go through this to learn how to deal with certain things, because like everybody has been there. They've been through certain things in life in the past that has shaped the way they are as a person now. And I think that's like you could be empathetic to in a character and how that is happening with them. So that I really like that. So I always tap into that aspect of it. And sometimes he's a mess, and I can be a mess too. So, or I could be a past. We want to say in the past.
Got you, Cider Rice. I had to turn it off. I was about to melt over here. Okay, and Roger wants to know, who was your favorite relationship to play? Morris and Jay, Morris and Fabian, Morris and Bryce, or Morris and Curtis?
Favorite? Favorite probably was the Joy relationship, because of the dynamic of their relationship. Like, it started out bad, but then it was just like kind of like fun and bubbly towards the end. Like, they're just like, they know each other. Like you said before, like you don't see that when one or both partners come out. You don't see that, like how they interact. I felt like that was very impactful to see that. So that right there probably is my favorite relationship to play. The Morris and Fabian was like, from a outside of it standpoint, I really liked their dynamic. But on the personal side, it was more so like I was nervous to play the part because of the person. Because so if those of you don't know, Ray Martell is straight. So me playing us in a game, it was always like I was nervous to how to interact with him. Most times because it's like, well, what do I do? How do I do this? I don't want to offend, like that type of thing. So it was always like you have to. I was always in the acting mode, like okay, this, and he was always very professional. He's a good sport, great actor. Yeah, and then the Bryce thing, it was fun to play. Yeah, Bryce was fun. And of course, Morris and Curtis, I love that. We just have so much chemistry. And it kind of just, like, we're just, Roger called us the Shining Twins only because we're both Capricorns and he just doesn't like Capricorns. All right. And so we just kind of just melt into the scene together. So it really just always plays out. So yeah.
And it ties in perfectly. And again, that chemistry that you guys have on screen, it really, really shows. Y'all leave me alone. I had to turn that fan off a bit. You guys could not hear me.
She turned it off. Leave her alone.
Island Yankee, I can't make a meal, but reservations, I can damn that.
What?
Cooking? You're talking about cooking? Let me see. Did I miss any questions? Which spicy scene was your favorite to record? Because there is some passion on Talks with Myself. And of course, Triangle, you see it there. So what was it like filming those scenes?
I mean, I guess it's like, you'll see them as like steamy scenes, but to be on set is really different because there's so many different, like, stop, cut, start, go. And it's like, oh, you got to light this way, light that way. So it's a lot of thinking going on into it. You're just not in the scene, doing the motions. So a lot of times it's always that because there's so much going on in the scene. So you're trying to focus like, oh, if there's lines or do we just have to have movement and physicality? It's more so that making it not look awkward. Favorite maybe, let me see. Favorite because of the outcome of it, I'm going to say, which is a scene with, I think when probably Morris and Curtis first had their scene in the way Roger lit the room up. It was like blue. It was like belly. When the first scene with Tommy and I forgot her name, but it was like the blue light, the sex scene. So that
Yes.
like my favorite scene because of the way it came out. Yeah. And then probably the thing was because it was just funny when we were doing it. But yeah.
My favorite is the tub scene. I told Roger that. I said, he's like, I don't want to take no goddamn bath. I'm like, he would say this. All right, Bill. I'm reading you guys' comments. Alan Yankee says, this man needs to help me blow my birthday candles out, but my birthday is in March.
Wait, what? Huh?
My fraternal. Do we have any more questions, fashion dolls? I see y'all all in the comments. Y'all are cutting up. Oh, and aside of Bryce said, no, that was King David. King David said that you are also very humble, and that you are. Any more questions, fashion dolls, for myself or Kenyon? Before we wrap up. This was such a great conversation and interview, and I'm glad that I got to chat with you. It was just amazing.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Final thoughts of the day. What words of wisdom would you give to people that are looking to get into the business or just in general? Because you, Triangle, last question. What was it like playing the Evil Twin? Now, the world wants to know about that.
Oh, I told you that was, well, I said it before. That was probably my favorite story arcs of Triangle, because I got to play so evil and conniving. So it was really good. So playing Chadwick was like, okay, this is fun. I can have fun with this. So it was always like just evil, getting crazy with everybody on set. You just didn't know what you were going to get out of the character because Chadwick, the character himself, was so polarizing. So for me to have to like step into it now. It's just like, okay, now I got to play like the devil on set. So it was really fun.
And that was the question that I asked him too, aside of Rice. Like, how were you able to play both characters to be able to play Jabril, and then you got to switch over? And they were just like, "Where's Jabril?" Because your character went missing.
Right.
But we saw Chadwick, and Chadwick was evil, and Brandon knew something was off. He's like, "That's not my husband," and that happens in real life too, where it's just like a case of, you know, where it's just like, this is not actually the person that I married. People do stuff like that.
No stranger in my house.
Because it was just like lack of emotion. Brandon was just scratching his head like something is off. And even Fallon caught on to it. A lot of people caught on to it. They were saying you ate that and you did that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all have given me such a great interview and show today. This is an hour-long show, and it was so worth it. It was definitely worth it.
What we're gonna be talking about, but I told you, the way you have your interviews, they kind of just flow with conversation. So, kudos to you.
and y'all kept it going. So thank y'all so much, y'all Triangle fans like myself and Talks with Myself. I love the show also, and Roger is here. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you guys are giving love to Roger, because Roger is a dynamic writer, director. He does it all, and I can't give him his flowers enough. Even when he was here and I interviewed him, I told him, you did something that was groundbreaking, because at the time, Noah's Ark was just stepping on the scene. Noah's Ark was the short was created in 2003, and the show was created in 2006, 2008, around that time. Finding Me, the film, came out in 2009. And then we get the series as well, 2012, 2013. So again, y'all, make sure that y'all are subscribed to OME Pro TV, and make sure that you are following Roger. And Roger, again, you have my full support. I will continue to interview all of your castmates on your shows. You are welcome to come back. You have my full support, because I love what you're doing. You are showcasing representation for the Black queer community. And I mean, Pose was then, but we see it in these other television platforms like Triangle, and now Talks with Myself, where LGBT Black people, we are included and we see ourselves.
Yep. Thank you for having Cast on here, and everybody behind the scenes. We really appreciate that. Grateful for that. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we got a question for you before you leave, Kenyon. Island Yankee wants to know, with your range of acting, do you ever make changes to the script or give it more life?
Yeah, a lot of times, or sometimes I take stuff out. But like I said, like Roger allows us to kind of make it our own, but also stay within, you know, his idea of the scene or the storyline or whatever. So that's always good, because you always want to be able to make something your own, because it feels more natural. So yeah.
And originality is key. When you play Jabril Davenport, you bring him to life. You breathe life into him. And even me going into business or wanting to do business with this person, I'd be like, okay, Fallon, she's a little bit more tolerable, but Jabril, he is so much like his daddy. He's ruthless, savage. He doesn't care. Those are the people. If I had to pick my poison, and this is my question for the viewers at home, if you had to pick your poison of who you wanted to do business with on Triangle, would you choose Clint, Fallon, or Jabril? For my viewers.
And Rock in the Hard Place and the Devil.
Yes. Y'all got to choose. Y'all got to choose for the viewers at home. If you had to choose, I'd do Fallon, because Fallon, me and her will probably be out trying to outdress each other. Style, fashion, whatever it is, I can see that. Jabril is a young Papa Pope. Everybody's saying they would do a deal with you, with your character.
Straight shooter. See, all them other people with other stuff behind
it. Clint, he's not gonna let you live it down. Fallon, she's just gonna right up there. It's just like, oh no, I'm gonna get the last word. I'm gonna get the last say so. Jabril is just like, I'm gonna get you back, but I'm gonna do it in my own way. So it's always a plot twist with Jabril. And Winston, we can't forget Winston Corey. Winston is another one too. He's like, I'm gonna get you back behind the scenes as well too. When Ashton's character passed away, he was killed off the show. And he was searching for answers. He just like, I'm gonna get my revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one scene where he's holding the Bible, he's praying, and he's rocking back and forth. The screen goes black and white. So he's losing it. Like he's devastated. He lost Ashton, and he is coming after people. And he went to Derek's apartment. Derek's apartment was dark. He turned on the lights. Winston is there. He's just acting very strange, not himself.
Uh-huh.
And then you find out his brother, played by Jeffrey Eldon, he has a brother as well too. So, Clayton, I would choose Mason to do business with. He's savvy. All right. But everybody's saying Jabril. I would choose Fallon. I like a challenge. I'm a woman that likes a challenge, and Fallon is a woman that likes a challenge, and she goes for what she wants.
Uh-huh.
So we would be toe to toe. This just like the scene with her and Ronnie. Ronnie gave her an insult, she gave her one right back. They were back and forth, and it was amazing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Fashion Dolls. So we covered all things Triangle. We covered all things Talks with Myself. This was an outstanding interview with you, Kenyon. Like it was a dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
Years in the making, I have been wanting to interview you and get you on the show. But I said, it's going to happen. I manifested it and put it out there in the universe. And it happened. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. You are on fire, been on fire. You are, they called you a pioneer, and that you are. You've been doing this for a long time. And I can't wait to see what Talks with Myself season 6 brings. And I know Roger is definitely going to bring the fire. His writing ability is just out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited and I can't wait. And you guys need to go and check out the photo for the promo. Love the interview. I agree. Keep it up. Love the interview. Good energy, everyone. Good. Have a blessed day and be safe. Yes. And final thought of the day, Fashion Dolls. It says, be bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined. Remember that, Fashion Dolls. And I want you to go into the Monday, if you're just getting off from work or whatever, go into life being intentional about doing something. And even for me, do it boldly, do it unapologetically, and do it fearlessly. Life is about taking chances and stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing things that you wouldn't normally do. Like, I was scared trying this hair color today. This is a one-time thing. I was scared, and I said, okay, this is only for fashion. And I put this dress on for King, and I said, I'm going to suffer through it. I'm going to look pretty. But this leather dress, I said, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be right. But Fashion Dolls, I want you guys to go through life being amazing. Tomorrow we have Derek Tuggle joining me. And Kenyon, where can everyone follow you? And any gems that you like to drop before we close out?
I'm across all social media, Kenyon L. O'Brien. I keep it simple everywhere. Kenyon L. O'Brien, same thing. Any gems? Look, I live life like this. All things happen for a reason, good or bad. It all happens for a reason. You may not see it in that moment, but over time you will see that it was something that you needed to go through to be where you are. You know, that's the way I live sometimes. Most times anyway. Yeah. So yeah.
Hashtag love Kenyon, and that's from Flawless Victory.
Thank you.
I missed this. Where is Kenyon originally from?
I'm originally from New York, and I was raised in.
Wait, New York. I have family in New York, Brooklyn, and I'm pretty sure you know about the 5 boroughs, Brownsville. A side of Rice says you better give them Storm realness. That's kind of what I was aiming for too. So,
well, thank you for this. I appreciate it, and also get all the love you give to the show because you've had everybody on the cast and still keep having people on there. So thank you. We really appreciate that. Everyone, season 6 coming out. Follow Roger, Director Roger. I'm sure he's in the comments, but follow him and Omi Pro TV on Instagram. Get all the up-to-date stuff. And YouTube, Omi Pro TV there too. You can see the episodes. I feel like 1 through 4 maybe on there. Seasons 1 through 4 may be on there, so check that out. Yeah, we're gonna be dropping up promos soon, so be on the lookout for that.
All right, Fashion Dolls, there you have it. I love you all, and Kenyon, this was such an honor and a pleasure to be chatting with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And Fashion Dolls, this will be uploaded to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. Make sure you guys head on over and subscribe. And it will be saved here on IGTV as well, too, so you guys can go back and catch the replay in case you missed it. I love you all, and you guys be fierce, be fabulous, and stay Style by Stevie. Take care of it.
Bye.
Take care.